We running?
Yeah, we running.
Excellent.
You there, Kinard? All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
And we all in.
All right. Welcome to another edition of D-Pad Chat. I am Doc-Dastardly.
Yeah, I'm Kese Arcade.
And we have a special guest,
Yeah.
a new member for this evening.
Yes.
We have some good topics today. Some very interesting stuff has happened in gaming, as you probably know. And we're going to give our opinions on it. And we're going to go from there and see what happens. Let's go on. So, Kese, if you don't mind starting off again.
Yeah, I'm going to start off because I'm probably like the rest of the internet. I'm pretty pissed off at what I see. Okay, so as everybody knows, like 2 weeks ago, Microsoft had their Xbox One conference, and they didn't even announce. They didn't say anything. A lot of journalists started asking questions, and we all started getting answers we didn't like. A lot of privacy issues, a lot of ridiculous red tape, microtransactions for something as simple as letting your friend borrow a game. And we were wondering what they were going to do. Like in the last episode, we kept saying, we're going to wait. We're going to see what happens at E3. We're not going to jump the gun. Well, they kind of released like a press bulletin point yesterday, and they essentially said, everything that you were mad about was true, but we're going to explain it to you in a nice, calm manner, and maybe you'll be stupid enough to go along with it. And it's not happening. It's garbage. It's too much red tape to do simple things. After they sell you that copy of that game, they still want money for every little thing that you do with it, and it's not going to fly.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's has been paying attention to it, and you know what we're referring to, which is all of the DRM type measures they're taking to prevent you from using your system and the games the way you would like. I mean, they have a 24-hour required check-in, which means once per day, once every 24 hours, you have to check in with their service to authenticate your profile and system. Otherwise, the system will not allow you to play games. It'll let you keep watching TV, which you don't even need the system to do so, or play Blu-rays and DVDs, but you won't be able to actually play any games. Whether they will, because the discs aren't usable anymore after you install, so it's all DRM-based, so you can't use any of it. And then the other part, which is really dumb, is because there are no more disc-based games where you basically treat it like a PC, you install the disc, you don't have to use the disc to play it anymore. If you give that disc to someone to play, they have to be on your friends list for at least 30 days. And then once they do that, you can't use the game anymore because they're playing it now. So it's not your game to play anymore, even though you've only loaned it to them. And then once they give it back, okay, yeah, you can actually use it now. But then if someone else wants to borrow it, they can't do a one-time use anymore. The borrowing system is gone. That disc is only usable as a borrowed disc one time for somebody. Everything else, you can't ever use the disc again. Even though you paid the money for the disc, you legally own it, but you kind of don't. So,
do you remember those golden days where you would be playing like Chrono Trigger or something, and a friend would come over and say, "Hey, I got this. Hey, I just beat this game. It looks pretty good." And then you would trade, and there was no big deal. You just pass him a tape. He passed you that one, and that was it for the week. We traded games all the time in high school. Like
traded them all throughout elementary school, middle school, high school.
Yes, and they're like, well,
even after I was in college.
Well, that dream is over because now you need to pay us, and they can only be so many times you can let someone. Yeah, I'm not buying the system. Like that's it. Like I was waiting till E3, and now I see no point in waiting. I'm not buying it.
No,
it's not happening.
I don't know anyone in good conscience who could actually purchase that system as just a knowledgeable consumer about what they're doing. They're basically saying you don't own something you paid for. You paid for it, and you can't do what you want to with it.
You're leasing it. It's not yours anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I told a friend of ours last night, and I told him this because I wanted him to know how serious I was. Like anybody who knows me knows that. Like, I was a Shenmue fanatic. Like, that is still, like, one of my favorite games of all time, the first one and the second one. And I told him Shenmue 1 and 2 could be released on the Xbox One, remastered, built from the ground up in HD, modern-day graphics, and Shenmue 3 could come out for that system exclusively, and I still would not buy it.
I mean, I don't
think
blame you. But as somebody who was not been on the podcast before,
Yeah.
what are your opinions, Kinard, on the whole situation?
Man, it's pretty hard. It's like a tough pill to swallow because, like you said, you finna pay what $300 subsidized with a subscription fee, possibly $15 a year. Then you're gonna probably pay $500 to get everything included.
Yep.
But the bad thing is you renting the system as well as the games.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like 10 years down the road, another Xbox come out. They stop supporting the Xbox One. Everything that you bought digitally and physically, you can't play that no more because you need online. They're gonna shut the online off. So it's basically you just wasted thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Exactly, because I mean, like, I was thinking about that today. I was like, I still have a Sega Saturn and a Dreamcast, a Super Nintendo. I could play those games right now if I want to.
Yeah, just load them up.
The online service didn't dictate it because, you know, none of them really had an online service save for that modem for the Dreamcast. But it's, you know, the service isn't dictating whether or not the system or the game works. That's not going to fly. It's just not.
I mean, I can't, in good conscience, support a decision like that from any company. I don't care if it was Nintendo, Sony, or if all three companies decided to do this. I'm not playing the new generation of consoles. I can't.
That game's over.
You gotta take a stand, or if you don't, they're gonna just do this even worse. Next thing you know, you really will have to sign some kind of contract, and you know, you only get to play the system during certain hours and all that stuff. Like who? It's my money. I've given you money. You're supposed to give me the product. You don't give me stipulations. When I was a kid and I went and bought a Ninja Turtle, there wasn't stipulations to the Ninja Turtle. It wasn't, oh, you can only use the Ninja Turtle between the hours of 3 p.m. and 8 p.m. and during the rest of the time you can't use it because, oh, you're supposed to be in school anyway. Like, no, I'll take it anywhere.
Like,
the systems are the same thing. They're toys.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. At the conference, like after they told everybody this, I don't know what they thought the response was going to be. And after waiting 2 weeks and then just saying, okay, it's been 2 weeks of silence, we're going to explain to you what's going on. And then they explain the same thing and expect a different reaction. When you do something, when you keep doing something over and over again in the exact same way and you expect a different reaction, that is the literal definition of insanity.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was insane. Easily insane because they just did whatever they wanted to, and they make PR statements like, "Oh, we hear gamers, and we're going to address their concerns." You didn't address our concerns. You basically said, "Yeah, we heard you. This is what we're doing anyway."
Yeah,
that's not addressing the concerns. You just repeated what we said.
You have a few journalists talking to them saying, "Well, everybody's unbelievably pissed off. They're upset about this," and then it's like, oh, nobody's upset. That's just sites like IGN and GameStop turning them against us. They're in denial. Yeah. They're in denial.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know to a degree they got certain measures they have to take. They have shareholders and they have people who are concerned about pirating and all that. But this isn't an anti-piracy thing. This is a control issue. They want to be able to say that they can control what you do, when you do it, how you do it.
Exactly.
It's not for your protection. They don't care about your protection. They really don't. They're just saying that to try to put some kind of PR spin on it. That's what PR is to put spins on things that, people don't like.
No, I hate to say this now. When E3 rolls around this coming week, if Sony gets up there and says something really similar, I don't see console gaming holding up. I just don't.
No, not with just the Wii U. Not going to happen.
It's not. They can't hold it by themselves.
No.
And it would be lunacy for Sony to come out there and say that after they're seeing how everybody's reacting. Like like Microsoft is, for like the past 2 weeks, everything Microsoft has said has essentially been good PR for them.
Yeah, I mean they can deliver a really big blow to Microsoft.
Yeah, I mean, because I said, like, I would come out there, as Sony, as Nintendo, I would literally come out there and I would drop Microsoft's name a couple times and I would say, look at what they're doing. Like, we're not going to do that to you. Like, I would lay into them. Like, that's the perfect, they have the perfect opportunity to do that. And you can say it looks like tacky or fanboyish or whatever. Anyway, I was like, they put themselves in the situation.
I feel
this to them.
I feel No kind of
remorse.
sympathy. No,
Yeah,
not in the least. But why would I feel sympathy? It's a company. It's a business.
exactly.
We not friends.
And that's one argument that you see on the internet over and over again, and I genuinely hate that argument. Every time I've said, like, I'm not putting up with that. I'm not buying an Xbox One. You'll have some fanboy come out of left field saying, well, they're a business. They're there to make money. And that's not an argument. I understand that they're a business, that they're not my friends or anything like that, but I'm not going to let them fuck me. It's not happening.
I don't have to support their product if I
Yeah,
don't want
I mean,
it.
even if they are there to make money, your argument is essentially saying, well, I'm being unreasonable. I should have to buy it because they're there to make money. I don't like the product. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm not just going to buy it because they made it. And there are people, whatever term you want to use for it, whether it's fanboy or whatever they want to call it, that will buy Microsoft products because it has the Microsoft name on there. And that's their prerogative. They have the option of doing that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they're a better person or a better customer because they're just willing to take anything. It means that they're just lacking the balls to do something that they need to do as a consumer. I mean, the companies, again, are not your friends. They don't owe you anything. You don't owe them anything in return. So I mean, it's a two-way street.
Exactly. I don't.
What do you got to say, Kinard?
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of casual gamers out there that's going to get this system and that's going to be in trouble and wasting a lot of money because they came out, 2 weeks ago during the reveal. They said that the Xbox One will not ship with component cables. Now you're going to need HDMI. Yes, you're going to need an HDMI cable. So if you don't have an HD TV, guess what? You have our system, but you need to go spend another $800 to buy a TV.
Wow.
And then also another shady thing is what about? I have a few friends that's like in the armed forces, like military, Navy, Marines.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
And I know they have like Xboxes and PlayStations, and I had a few that played with me online, like one of my friends on the Xbox and one of my other good friends, and they had some pretty bad internet over there in Korea, and he was always getting kicked off online. So
yes, he was. I remember that.
Yeah, so if he get the Xbox One, he's gonna always be getting kicked off, and then plus if you station somewhere with no internet, you can't play the Xbox. Period.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and he said he was talking to this guy that was like a hardcore Microsoft, fanboy. And when Mark was explaining, my friend was Mark, was talking to him, and when Mark explained to him, what was going on with the Xbox, which he already knew anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had a response for everything Mark said, and it's just like absolute lunacy. Like the guy, like Mark said, Connect will always be on. And this guy said, I'll just put a box in front of the camera. And
I got boxes in front of my cameras now.
And then he said, then the guy was like, well, if you don't like sports games, I guess you're not going to be able to play them because EA has a good deal with Microsoft or something. And Mark brought up the fact that the internet connection thing, like your internet, and the guy said, well, my internet is always up. I've never had an issue. And then he said, okay. I hate to keep going down the list, but he said, okay.
Oh, no, it's cool.
He said, okay, well, you can't buy used games. I don't buy used games anyway. I buy everything new. He said, what? Then he said, the last one, he said, what are you going to do when you throw those famous LAN parties of yours when they have all these restrictions on the system? He's like, well, I guess all of my friends are going to have to buy Xbox Ones or they won't be playing at my house. What? Dude, that's lunacy. You've basically admitted all the way down the line that this system is shit.
Yeah.
But you're still taking up for them, dude. Get into PC gaming, get a PS4, get something else. You don't have to put up with that.
I mean, if it came down to it and all the companies literally did that, I would get PCs. And if we started dealing with the same things from PCs, I wouldn't play these systems.
Promise you.
You don't have to.
I got plenty of old games that can hold me through.
Yeah, we get the job done. I mean, I'm not just going to take this because they said it. Like, oh, no, you have to do it. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff, man. They can't make you do that. That's crazy.
I was even talking to somebody today, and they said the average person is not going to do the research on what this is. They're going to buy this thing, and they're going to take it home. They're going to realize all that red tape and everything that's really going on with that system and all the headaches that it's bringing. and there's going to be like a mass return where people are bringing that thing back in ridiculous numbers.
But they can't return it. You know how those policies going to work. It's going to be a bunch of, cursing and probably some fights and whatnot. But it's going
to be. I don't want to say it's going to be funny, but it is. But, they are so delusional, and I understand like they have shareholders and things, but what they don't understand is, and even the shareholders don't seem to understand, you don't make money if people don't buy your product.
Yeah, you don't. You really don't. I mean, if without the consumer, which consumers a lot of times don't understand their power. Sometimes they overstate their power, but in this case, they're not understanding their power. If you don't buy the system, they can't make any money. They would have to either adjust their policies or just get out of the gaming business.
Yeah.
Because there won't be any money for them. Like, there won't be a market for them. That's what people have to understand, is they have the power to speak with their wallets. Say no. Don't pay for it.
Exactly. And everybody who keeps taking up for them, they keep saying, well, the game has changed and the industry has changed. They have to do these things. They don't have to do these things. The game industry crashed once in the 80s, and the NES essentially saved it. Since then, up to the present, the game industry has been doing fine. If anything, it gets better almost every year.
Exactly.
It's been doing fine. Doing this does not save it. It's just putting restrictions in that don't need to be there.
Yeah. Big brother syndrome. There's control.
And I'm not putting up with that so some CEO can get a couple of more mil a year. I'm not.
No,
that's not happening. You getting paid like $70 million a year. Guess what? You ain't struggling no way. I'm not putting up with that bullshit so you can raise that 70 to 100. It's not happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it comes down to, where it's all about controlling and trying to push the bottom dollar, Oh, we estimated that we lost this much money due to piracy. That's what their excuses will be. Yeah. We lost such and such amount of money. Like, did you really? Or were those people not going to pay for your product anyway? People are going to pirate things. That's what they do. People are going to bootleg things. That's what they do. No matter how good you make your movie, people are going to bootleg the movie. No matter how good you make that game, people will still pirate that game. And the system's not going to be any different. And I guarantee you, when that system comes out, people will hack it and play it without having to check in. It's going to happen. They're going to do it just for the sake of doing it, not because they want to prove, that they can do it, just because you said they couldn't. Just to mess with the companies. And at the same time, there's probably going to be some mass server hacks where they try to attack the login server for that 24-hour check-in just to shut the systems down.
And as soon as it comes out that some kind of information is going back to Microsoft or a third party or something through that connect, anytime anything like that comes up, like a breach of privacy, we know from experience, Anonymous is going to hit them.
Exactly. They're going to do it.
They're going to hit them just to prove a point.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can't check in because the servers are down, which I don't care what anybody tries to say, Microsoft servers have been down before.
Yes,
we had Xbox Live back in 2007 and 2008 when the 360 was just getting up and running for real.
It was down all Christmas one time after it had been out for a few years.
Exactly. It could just go down. And basically Microsoft's answer was, we told you in the terms and conditions it can go down, and you're not reimbursed for those days you lost. They don't care.
No, they don't.
This is the ultimate show of we don't care.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm so looking forward to E3 because this is gonna be a circus. It is not gonna look good.
Well, as Kinard was saying earlier, remember they not doing interviews, post presentation interviews this time.
So they can stick their head in the sand all they want to. It's people gonna vote with their wallets. That's all I can say. And like even now, I'm looking. Even now, the only reason I'm trying to get a Wii U. Like eventually, I plan on owning all three systems over the course of years, like I always do. But now I see, one of the systems I don't have to. I don't have to buy it. I don't need it.
No, there's not a game they can release.
I don't want it.
To buy it. There's not a game they have that. There's no exclusive they can present at E3 to be like, oh, I have no choice. I have to have it.
Exactly.
No. It's not a good enough Halo or Gears of War or whatever timed exclusive content that they have, because they don't get real exclusives from third parties. They get temporary exclusive and then try to shove it in people's faces like they're really doing something, even though the content and the games are still going to come out on other systems.
Now, there's actually, I'll have to find it, and I'll probably put like a link below the description of this video. Somebody from Microsoft literally said, like, we're going to kill Sony at E3. We'll see,
Yeah, that was Aaron Greenberg that said that.
Oh, okay. See, that's good. But it's going to be funny, man, because I don't know, you can have all the games in the world. It's going to be hard to kill them if everybody is, like, fuming with rage.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's head is turning red like Benson and Regular Show. Because it's like, it's unacceptable what they're doing. And it's like, it's hard to process that they don't get that.
I mean, they try to spin it. It's what businesses do, large businesses do with the PR. They're trying to rationalize, why people aren't accepting what they're saying.
Yeah.
When they try to put the spin on it, like, the media turned the gamers against them. The media couldn't show the NFL package for 20 minutes. You did that. Exactly. The media can't make up DRM on your system. Not game DRM. Not where they tried to put out the press release about, it's the developer's choice. The 24-hour check-in isn't the developer's choice. That's something you built in. That's a DRM. That's another version of it. There's no getting around that. You did that.
Exactly.
Yeah, because Bethesda always in partnership with Microsoft, especially with the whole Skyrim and the Fallout DLC, and PlayStation had to wait like 3 years to get DLC. Like, Bethesda had released a statement this morning and said that they was in the dark and they didn't know anything what was going on as far as with the DRM and the used games fee. Like, they were just as surprised as everybody else was when they heard that news.
Yeah. I mean, most of these companies are coming out and they're saying things like that because Microsoft is trying to put the blame on them, and it was Microsoft's idea. They always talked about stuff like that. We're looking at ways to cut back piracy and, cut out used games. And let me say this about the used game thing.
All right.
People have been trying to complain about the, GameStop's practices and stuff with the trading in games. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. I've been shopping at GameStop for about 10, 12 years, or however long it's been in my areas. Those prices haven't really changed as far as store credit.
Yeah.
They've never given you a game for a game. What store did people go to? What version of GameStop did they go to where you got a game for a game? I'm not saying it's quote unquote the fairest, but it never was a game for a game. So that's just a fable that people have made up in their minds. But GameStop does a lot for the industry that Microsoft just refuses to acknowledge. But all those midnight launches and things like that, those are GameStop ideas. Yeah. They made those popular.
What's funny though is that, like, the average person, like I said, the average person isn't going to do their due diligence and they're going to buy this thing anyway.
Yeah.
But when they take it back to the store, or if they go to the store and like, my kids already beat all these games, I want to get like a used game, and then that used game is astronomically high, or possibly astronomically high based on Microsoft policies, they are going to kill a big section of the industry because a lot of people who spend money on games aren't gamers.
Yeah.
Like,
and they buy used games on purpose. That's what they do.
Exactly.
Let's say this thing is so weird that there is no used games for Xbox One. Then what happens? Then you got to go in and you say, oh, well, if you buy a game, they have to treat it like a new game, which means once you open it, you can't return it. So if you buy crap, you're stuck with crap. And, GameStop is a business. They're not going to be telling every single customer that, you have to be online every 24 hours. You got to check in. You have to do this and that. Like, certain GameStops, like the one I used to work at, would tell you. But the average place is concerned about moving units because that's what GameStop is supposed to be about, is moving units. So they're going to assume you knew. You're supposed to know.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to help GameStop as far as a hardware standpoint, because if you have a casual guy that comes in and he buys the new Xbox and he don't have the HD TV or internet connection, and like he just wasted $500 and then he takes it back to GameStop, he can't get no money. GameStop will be like, all right, give you this store credit. Like, and that department, GameStop is going to win because they sold the system. That
And
system just got returned, and now they can sell that system for whatever they want and get a profit share of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then on the game side, like in my opinion, I think GameStop is gonna go down as far as game sales because Microsoft also said in that bulletin press that what did they say? They said that every game that comes out at midnight launch will be available day one at midnight on the Xbox.
That's kind of like a weird conundrum because I thought about that. You buy the disc, right? And then you install it. You don't play off the disc anymore. You just install it and you put it up on your shelf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if this thing requires you to be on the internet to actually have a decent internet connection in the first place, why would you even buy physical disc anymore?
Exactly. They've hurt the physical disc market, but that was their plan, though.
They're hurting them. Yeah, they're hurting the market. GameStop is largely still in business because of used games.
Yeah.
And so they're hurting the used game market. What's going to happen with Redbox and GameFly? Like, it is going to be a terrible domino effect.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. You can still use it for your PS4 and your Wii U.
Yeah, I'm saying, but everybody makes the mistake, and I honestly do believe it's a mistake of buying an Xbox One. It's going to cause some serious problems.
Oh yeah, it will. It will have deep ramifications for the industry, and that's what my point is, man. Like by hurting stores like GameStop, hurt the industry as a whole. GameStop gets people excited for games.
Yeah.
I know I've made people get excited for games that I probably, didn't actually purchase myself.
Yeah.
But they bought them, and that's what GameStop does. They get people excited for gaming. Oh, you like this type of game? Well, guess what? There's a game similar to it comes out. Oh, you like obscure RPGs? Did you know about this one that's coming out from the same company?
Yeah.
Things like that. That's going to be gone. People don't sit around, and not every person is so deep into gaming like we are, and the people that we know, that they go research what company's making a new game. I like NIS games, that this guy is in games like that. So I'll go look up what they're coming out with. The average person who plays games doesn't do that. They go to the store, they go to GameStop, or they get a magazine and they look up stuff. But for the most part, they don't know unless somebody tells them. Mm-hmm. But there's not going to be that anymore. And again, it's gonna hurt the industry. And if the industry gets hurt bad enough, it's going to crash.
And we'll get into that in the extra episode about the game crash. But essentially, what we're saying here is like, this is going to lead to it. This is essentially all we're going to say anyway.
Yeah.
This is going to lead to it. And it's funny because people ask me about games because they know I'm still into them, deeply into them, even at the age of 29, like essentially since I was 3. And people still ask me questions, and I keep telling them, I was like, I'm always telling them the same thing recently. All I can say is research the Wii U and research the PS4. I've never actually said this about any system. But do not touch the Xbox One. Just leave it on the shelf. Don't. If somebody says I want one, tell them to call me, and by the end of that conversation, I'm sure they're not going to want it.
Exactly.
The casual gamer going to want it because they're going to get the Xbox. They're going to want Call of Duty. They're going to want Madden. They're going to want 2K. They're going to play those games, and then they're going to get disappointment.
They're going to get disappointed deeply. And it's going to be a terrible day for a lot of households when they get that system on. When especially like there are plenty of people who still live in rural areas who can't get access to the internet like that. It's not their fault. They shouldn't be held back because you put some kind of restriction on your system. You're limiting yourself. You want money, but you're limiting the people who can play your system. Why would you do that?
And there have been plenty of times. I remember, growing up, going to my grandmother's and going to see my dad and stuff like in northern Alabama. They never had, they don't have internet on it because they don't use that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But, I would always bring my systems up there. I didn't need it. I didn't need the internet.
No, you don't need the internet to hook up a SNES. You didn't need the internet until the new systems. To the current gen systems, you didn't need
even when I was playing stuff off of my PS3 and even my Xbox 360, of course,
fine.
It works fine without the internet. Like I would still bring it up there and play. I didn't need it.
No, now you need it.
Yeah, now you need it. Or the system's a brick.
It's a big paperweight.
They can take that however they want to, but it is. Oh boy, it's gonna be a bloodbath at E3.
Okay, my question for both of y'all are
okay.
As far as the 360 and the PlayStation 3 concern is, PlayStation is still pumping out great exclusives. We got The Last of Us that comes out this Friday coming up, and then at the end of the year we have Beyond Two Souls,
Oh yes.
and Gran Turismo 6. And that RPG, I don't know if I'm pronouncing right, or the Tales of Azalea or
Zillia.
Zillion.
Zillia.
Yeah,
Yep.
that
They got that, and they have another one.
yeah, you have that, but the 360 don't have no exclusives that's coming out. Like, what they're gonna do with that? Because if I'm a hardcore Xbox gamer, once you get this Xbox One, is it gonna be a repeat from how the 360 was? You're gonna get 3 to 4 years max of exclusives, and then after that, year 5, 6, it's gonna be all third party support. Like, what's gonna happen with that?
A big part of what happened there is that Sony themselves, they don't really lapse. Like, they continuously pump out first party exclusives, and even when they aren't, they have all these Japanese game companies backing them. Microsoft didn't really have that, not enough, because in Japan the thing was just like kryptonite. Nobody wanted to be near it. Like, and that's something else too. Like, during the conference, when you're seeing, The Price is Right, and you're seeing all these really, really Western games, like, the rest of the world was like, like, what the hell is this? Like, this is only appealing to Americans. And like, even though Microsoft don't want to acknowledge this, as soon as the conference was over, people in Europe went out and bought the Wii U in like mass numbers. Like, that was it. Like, they were just waiting to see what Xbox was gonna do, and once they saw it, they didn't want it. Like,
Yeah,
I think the Wii U sales rate went up like 800% or something.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Well,
the Wii U went up, and Microsoft, I mean, not Microsoft, but Sony stock went up 9% that day.
Yeah. That is, and they're saying, that has nothing to do with it. I was like, of course it does.
Well, I mean, I think with the 360 itself is, one, Microsoft doesn't. They lost all of the real in-house studios or the first party exclusives, basically, or the rights to them, at least, to where, they had, the only thing they really had with the 360 when it came out as far as exclusives was Gears and Halo. Gears is a new franchise for the 360, and Halo was from the Xbox, first Xbox.
Yeah.
But the problem was actually not even nothing Microsoft really did. It was Sony's fault, because of how they, made this PS3 build. It kind of alienated a lot of the Western developers. Yeah. But with the PS4, that's not the case. And even some of the Western developers, when they figured out how to use it right, they still enjoy making games for it more than they did the 360. And with the PS4, and like you were saying earlier, Kinard, Sony's going to create their own franchise. They even come out with new IPs each time we get a new system. Microsoft really doesn't do anything like that, and they don't have anything established like Nintendo, as far as, legendary IPs where, you're going to get a quality version of that game for this new system. And they didn't really create anything new. Like, they tried to create a couple franchises like Alan Wake, which really didn't take off. And a couple of them I probably can't remember right now. They even tried to get some Japanese RPGs when they had, Lost Odyssey, which was a great game. I still got it now, but they don't have the market for that. That's not what people play. Unfortunately, people play shooting games on their system, and they get, they did a deal with Call of Duty, which, I mean, honestly, they sold, a few percent more than the PS3, but they really didn't, destroy them in sales. Like, they don't do anything to set them apart as far as actual content. The console itself and the features of the 360 were better than a lot of the features of the PS3. They did good in that area, but the actual games themselves, they didn't do a lot to kind of keep that longevity, and they don't have anything currently. And like you were saying about the Xbox, I mean, they're probably going to stop support in a large degree to the 360. They can try to say whatever they want at E3 about it, but history tends to repeat itself with companies, and they kind of just shut down the Xbox after the 360 came out.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to do the same thing for the 360. I mean, they said they're going to continue to support it, but what does that really mean?
Well, Xbox's arrogance, though, they'll most likely try to shut it down as soon as they possibly can. I'm not saying this year or anything crazy like that, but they're going to try to shut it down overall as soon as they can, and they're going to try to bully you into buying this Xbox One, but it's never going to happen.
I think once they feel they got enough consumers that has the Xbox One, they're gonna stop everything with the 360 doing. Like, I don't buy into that shit they're saying that, we're gonna support the 360 up until 2019. Really?
No, they're
No,
not.
no, they're
Really,
not.
2019.
They
Yeah.
absolutely,
I guarantee
they
you,
absolutely are not.
I
We
guarantee
all
you,
know
I
that.
won't have my 360 into 2015.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody's trying to hear that. And then let's talk about the expectations. We all saw the article. 400 million units of the Xbox 360 and 600 million Xbox Ones. Are you serious?
Uh,
What kind of specialized cocaine are you snorting?
First of all, the rest of the world reacted to it like a bad allergy. So it's not, you can't make those numbers with North America alone. Second of all, they're not going to push those numbers unless they can somehow, ship units to extra dimensions and sell them there too, unless they're going to sell them on Earth 2 and Earth 3. It's not happening. Nobody is buying that thing in that manner. Everybody is livid, and they're like, no, everybody, look, it's delusional. That's not the reaction to this thing. Nobody's overreacting. It's bullshit. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what we'll see what they do at E3. We'll see what they do at E3. But I'm not buying it.
Look,
I know.
see, there's no way that system will sell that. No system has sold that. The PS2 barely sold over 200 million. The Wii sold 150 million. Those are some of the most successful systems in history. It took the PS2 like 12 years to do that.
The PS2 is the top selling console of all time. I'm pretty sure. I hadn't double checked, but I'm pretty damn sure it is.
If it ain't, it's damn close. And it didn't sell 500 million. You talking about 600 million Xbox Ones?
They're acting like cable is new. People have cable already. They already have satellite. They stream TV on the internet. It's not new. They're acting like they have like this brand new product. I was like, I have an Xbox sitting here on my table, and on the shelf below it is my satellite dish. It's the same thing. Except it was like you could say Xbox TV, and it'll switch to the TV. I can hit the AUX button on my remote and switch back to my TV. I don't care. Like it's.
Like, I be listening to CVG, like, on YouTube, like, their little podcast and live streams they be doing, and after they did the reveal to the Xbox, like, it's like they completely didn't hear anything they were saying. It was like they were happy that the Xbox One was out. And then after they released that information from yesterday, I wanted to check to see what their reaction was. They completely blown it off again. They was like, well, we won from E3 as Microsoft, nothing but games. Like, who cares about the use fee or the internet connection? Like, if they said if they give Xbox fans the games that they want, people will completely look off of what they're trying to do, and that they're looking out for the gamer. And I was like, yep, I'm done.
They're not looking out for the gamers. Yeah, they're not looking.
That's it right there, and that's exactly why the game crash can't happen again, because you have people like, I'm gonna just deal with whatever they do. No, you don't have to. What is going on in your mind when you think you have to put up with it?
They don't want the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, and that hatred of Sony for some, like, I don't understand where this weird hatred of Sony comes from. Not saying Sony's the greatest company or whatever, because they're just another company. I would treat them the same way I treat Nintendo and Microsoft. Whatever they do, that's what they get in return. But people who have the Xbox, a lot of them have this weird hatred for Sony, and a lot of people who have PS3s, ironically, don't care about what Microsoft's doing if they don't play the system, or they might even have an Xbox. We all play both. We don't have a bias to any system. Yeah. I mean, we was running GameCube for Smash Brothers until the Wii came out, just because, I mean, it's if the product is good, it gets its use. Yep. But they just seem to just be so anti-PlayStation 4 that they refuse to get the system with some weird blind allegiance to them. And I can't process it. I mean, me and Kinard were talking to one of our friends online, right after the reveal, and he basically said that, there was nothing that, Microsoft could do to basically not make him buy the system. Like, he was buying it regardless of what they did, because Sony didn't make games for him, and we started naming games off, like, what games, what do you have a problem with this game, or you play this type of game on Microsoft, they have this same type of game on the PlayStation 3, and it's actually a better version. And he basically said, oh, no, that don't matter because it's not Microsoft. Like,
I don't get it because I said this before, numerous times, arguing with numerous people. I'm not pledging fealty. to a company, like it's the medieval times. I'm not finna get down on one knee and promise that I'm gonna protect the mother of dragons. For it is not happening.
Not kissing the ring.
I'm not. I'm not. So I don't. They can do whatever they want, man. But we'll see Tuesday, and we definitely got to do an episode to respond to what happens throughout those 3 days at E3 because
we'll do one per day.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. So I think we're almost out of time.
All right, so we'll sign off. Doc-Dastardly.
Kese Arcade.
Kinard.
Yeah. All right. So we'll join you back here sometime later this week, and I'm sure we'll have an earful about Microsoft because I'm sure they're going to get up there and just for the third time reiterate what they've already said twice. So, all right, signing out.
Yep.
Peace.